Tonight on KVAL News at 11, the historic Civic Stadium is a total loss after flames tear through the iconic building. What we're learning from the scene. And after years of trying to save the stadium, the property recently changed hands. Hear what the new owners have to say about today's devastating loss. Plus, neighbors in the College Hill area are mourning the demise of Civic, how they are remembering nearly 8 decades of history. KVAL News starts right now.
First, fair, accurate from our newsrooms in Eugene, Roseburg, and Coos Bay. KVAL News starts now.
Developing news tonight, a massive structure fire has destroyed Civic Stadium in South Eugene. The historic landmark was 77 years old. Good evening, I'm Katie LaSalle. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We are closely following tonight's fire at Civic Stadium in South Eugene and bring you team coverage. First, we'll go live to Chris Lytle, who is outside of Civic Stadium tonight. And Chris, what's the situation there right now?
Katie, the call came in just around 5:30 this evening for a structure fire here at Civic Stadium. And as you can see behind me, fire crews are still on scene, cooling down any remaining hotspots. Arriving firefighters told me earlier today that before they could even roll out their hoses, they knew Civic Stadium was going to be a total loss.
I'm not surprised at all. It's a very dry timber, very seasoned timber, all wood, exposed beams underneath the stadium and around the stadium. This is the way large wooden structures react to fire.
The South Eugene community was at a loss for words Monday night. They could do nothing but watch the historic stadium burn to the ground. Arriving firefighters say flames were shooting up twice the height of the stadium, dozens of feet in the air.
What was already on fire was a loss, and at that point we are trying to keep the community, people near the scene, and our firefighters as safe as possible.
Eugene Springfield Fire Chief Randy Groves says the dry wooden structure contributed to the intensity of the fire.
The dry condition of the timber in this particular structure, it just took off, and there's not much you can do about that.
More than 30 firefighters tried to slow the fire and protect homes nearby. Police ordered evacuations in a 2-block radius around Civic Stadium.
First calls were from some friends who are still in the office building where I work downtown, and they just said, first thing they said is, "Derek, I am really, really sorry."
Derek Johnson with Eugene Civic Alliance says it's an incredible loss for the community.
Right now, though, we're sort of standing around giving each other hugs and holding on.
Johnson, along with Dennis Hebert and other supporters, poured their heart and soul into saving the historic stadium for years. Johnson says he's not sure what's next. Now it's just a memory.
This was our worst nightmare, and it's been realized. That said, it's an incredible site. This community will make something good out of that site.
Police say the evacuations are now lifted, so if you were evacuated earlier today in that 2-block radius, you are now allowed to return home. Fire officials say it's just way too early to talk about how the fire started, but police are asking the public's help in determining the cause of this fire. So if you see anything suspicious or out of the ordinary, you're asked to call police. Reporting live at Civic Stadium, Chris Lytle, KVAL News.
Thank you, Chris. And the Civic Alliance, who owns the stadium, issued a statement this evening. They said, quote, "Like the rest of the community, we're stunned by the fire today." They said they are all in shock and will need time to process everything and determine the next steps. They also answered some questions on a lot of people's minds. Yes, the structure is insured. Construction on the site was scheduled to begin next month. To their knowledge, no one was hurt, and they say it is still too early to know where they will go from here. And continuing our coverage now, Kelly Anderson is live at Civic Stadium. And Kelly, you spoke with neighbors today and many people who have a history with the stadium. How are they reacting to the loss of this landmark?
Despite the fact that the roads were blocked off earlier today, hundreds crowded these streets to watch as the structure collapsed to the ground. For some, this was just a sight on their daily commute, but for others, it's one of the places that shaped their childhood. As the walls of the stadium crumbled to the ground, some residents feared for their homes. And what was going through your mind when you saw these flames happening? I mean, were you scared?
I was afraid it's going to burn my house down. I need to get home and go wet my roof.
Hundreds gathered by the scene to try to understand what had just happened on the street they know so well.
So I had been outside not even 5 minutes before it started and went inside and heard everybody yelling and came out, and it was just smoke everywhere, fire full on raging, started to catch the trees, the power line.
But once the initial fear passed, the feeling of loss settled in.
Well, coming here with my sports teams when I was a kid, and one of my friend's grandfathers owned the concessions here.
There were people walking away from seeing this fire crying. One man was sobbing. He had tears going down his face. It's like he had lost an old friend.
An old friend that may be gone, but the memories live on. If you have a long-standing history with the Civic Stadium, we want to know more. Email us your pictures and your memories to KVALnews@KVAL.com. Live at Civic Stadium, I'm Kelly Anderson, KVAL News.
Thank you, Kelly. And we wanted to take this time to take a look back at the history of Civic Stadium. Welcome back. We're taking another look back at our top story tonight. Historic Civic Stadium is at a total loss. Chris Lytle is live at Civic Stadium tonight. And Chris, crews, they're still on scene there?
Yeah, Katie, pretty dramatic images here. I'm live outside of Civic Stadium where you can tell the historic grandstands continue to burn. Katie, the call came in around 5:30 this evening, and as you can see, firefighters are still on scene. Now, initially, more than 30 firefighters responded in this 3-alarm fire, and fire officials say that Civic Stadium is a total loss. Right now, police have created a perimeter for safety, and we're told arson investigators are now on scene. Now, police are asking for the public's help in determining the cause. So if you saw something out of the ordinary or suspicious around the time that the fire started, you're asked to call police. Now, for many people, it's a sad day. One man told me it's a lot of childhood memories that have gone up in smoke. So Katie, once again, we'll take a look, another live look outside at the fire here at Civic Stadium. Those historic grandstands continue to burn. Katie, we'll send it back to you.